Good morning. What's going on, guys? I've got my buddy over here, David Yocum, off to my left. Your guys is right. Nice to see you here this morning, David. I can't wait to get a chance to talk to you about multiple time frame analysis this morning. How are you doing?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, if you guys don't know David Yocum, you need to know David Yocum because this I hate to say kid, but I'm almost 40, and you were sitting here telling me before we got on live that you've been trading since you were 14. I couldn't even fathom trading at 14. I was just trying to figure out which friends I could hang out with, but you've got custodial accounts going on at 14 years old. You're about to take your CMT test here in a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know, I mean, I love TrendSpider, so that's why I know about you, and I follow you on Twitter. So, what's going on with you?
Yeah, so got started when, like you said, I was about 14 with a custodial account. Always kind of heard my dad talking about it growing up on the side, and then did some research, and I always had kind of the entrepreneurial spirit. And I found out you could draw some lines and click some buttons to make $1 million. So
It's
that's how
it's
I
that
got
easy,
into
isn't it? It's that easy,
it.
right?
It is, and then put $100 in there, and in seventh or eighth grade, whatever it was, and um, I think my first trade I made $5, and I was like, "Oh, I got this." So then,
Yeah, $5
from
to a
there,
million. $5 to a million. You got it.
right? Yeah, I mean, it was it definitely started off small, and then over time, the more I grew passionate, the more I'd save, and the more I'd invest, and kind of add over time. So, one thing led to another, and started to use TrendSpider a couple of years ago. And then back in January of this year, I had the opportunity to start working there. Um, so that's been a blessing, and being able to make my friends with work there, and just be able to talk with partners, and be able to work on such a great platform, and then continue to work on my skills via Twitter, and also sharing on my website and YouTube. So really just trying to do as much as I can to set myself up for a good position here in the next few years, once I start to get into trading a good bit more.
Yeah, I mean, you're setting yourself up pretty nice. I gotta say, I look at your charts all the time on Twitter, and I see how you use multiple time frames to be able to assess, you know, all your trades, and that's one thing of the strat. And I know you don't trade the strat per se, but looking at multiple time frames is one of the major things about the strat. And looking at time frame continuity is what we call it, and things like that. And what I'm trying to do is explain those to those that don't have their foot in the door yet with futures, how these event contracts can really help you kind of get your foot in the door there with these daily binary contracts. And so we'll kind of get into that here and right now as we kind of predict today's close. Thank you so much for that smooth transition. Very nice. I love it. All right, we're going to predict today's close, right? That's what we're trying to do, is we're going to take these binary events where you're either going to pick yes that we're going to close above, or no that we're going to close below. And so for those of you, this is the first show that I'm doing here on my Wednesday morning show for the PYT network. And so I just wanted to get the basics down, and who best to talk about this that somebody that hasn't really traded futures yet. So what are they? Their event contracts are they're a new and simple way to access 10 of the world's benchmark futures, and we'll talk about those 10 right here. And that's all it is. You're looking to choose whether it's going to be over or under that specific contract. All right, so we're not going to go over how to read the values. If you have any questions about how to read the values and things like that on the actual platform itself, it's supported by Trade of 8, which is one of it is the platform, my choice of broker to use. And I love them. I love them because I can, I trade futures, and the commissions can be quite expensive if you're scalping, and they allow you to pay for the commissions up front. I absolutely love it. But how do the event contracts work? You choose the market, and you decide if it's going to close above or below. And if you predict correctly, you're going to earn $20. Okay, so depending on how much they cost, it's just it's similar to an option, where it is a binary option. So you're depending on how close you are to that particular strike that you're choosing, or that particular price, is going to depend on how much it's going to cost you. But ultimately, you're going to earn $20. So if it costs you $17, at the end of the day, once it closes in your favor, you're going to earn the $3. You're going to earn the difference. Okay. So that's what we're looking for. And so these are the products that we can trade. We can trade gold, silver, the S&P, the Russell, copper, the Dow. We've got Euro USD as well. We've got the NASDAQ crude oil and Henry Hub natural gas. So 10 products. It's absolutely amazing. Good way to get your foot in the door. And let's talk a little bit about charts. If we can get David's charts up, that would be awesome. So we can kind of he can talk about how he goes about actually looking at the market. So walk
Yeah,
us through, David.
absolutely. So going over multiple time frames, definitely something that's very key. Usually what I'll do when first looking at a chart is I'll start from the weekly time frame. A lot of people start at the monthly. I don't necessarily ignore it, but I usually get the same reading on the weekly just by zooming out a good bit. So what I look for is basic trends. So whether that be using the EMAs or seeing if we're putting in higher lows or lower lows, and vice versa. So that's kind of how I start with the weekly time frame. So making sure I know what type of trend we're in, and I also want to be participating in that trend. So for example, weekly for the SPY, which I'm looking at here, you obviously can see that we're in a long-term uptrend, but definitely in a short-term downtrend. And then switching to the daily, you can see that a good bit more. So it looks a little bit more extended on a daily time frame here. And the daily time frame is kind of where I like to dive into some more of the details. So the weekly is where I usually get my ideas, and then I dive into the daily for trying to nitpick where I'm going to be entering a trade and what the short term looks like. And then usually I'll go down to anywhere from the hour to the 65-minute for entering intraday. So whether I'm entering at the end of the day or near the open, I like to be able to dive in a little bit deeper just to make sure I'm trying to time that as best as I can. So that's kind of the basics of what I'm looking at when I'm using multiple time frames. Start at the weekly and go all the way down to the hourly to try to determine trend and nitpick my entries.
Awesome. So I know that you're looking at multiple time frames. What is kind of your go-to time frame that you like to enter on trades, or is it very dependent on the actual setup itself?
Yeah, it definitely depends, but usually I'll go down to the hourly to actually enter the trade. But like I said, most of my ideas come from the weekly and daily time frame. But really try to get down to the smaller time frames to be able to time your entries at specific levels. Even going down to the 15 5-minute can work. But sometimes I find that a little bit stressful as a swing trader. So the hourly helps keep things a little bit more clear and just level headed.
Quiets down the noise just a little bit, doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah, with the strat, I know that Rob Smith, he always talks about sticking with the 30s and the 60s if you're newer to trading, or if not even just if you're newer to trading, but it quiets down a lot of that noise. Trading, I've seen people trading the 15-second charts, and it's mind blowing to me how they can trade 15-second charts. The 1 minute is too fast. The 5 minutes, all right. I like trading on the 15, but that's because I day trade. I scalp these futures products that I like to trade the ES as much as possible. What are your takes on the market right now? I know we've got a lot of economic data coming out. Powell's talking today. What are some of your thoughts based off of some of these technicals, or do you pay attention to economic data at all? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so definitely looking at. I do follow CPI data and everything else that people follow on Twitter, but I'm definitely more am of a technical trader. Not to say that interest rates and all that isn't important. It's definitely something that you have to know if you're a swing trader in particular and a long-term investor, just so you can have that as a background. I mean, even if you just flipped when we started. Raising interest rates, that would have been a good exit. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. But as far as what I'm seeing on the chart, definitely lower highs and lower lows, which is obviously a downtrend. So I'm still pretty cautious. The first sign for some bullishness for me would be getting above this long-term downtrend that we're seeing here, and then breaking this high after that. So as long as we're under those, I'm leaning bearish. I actually have taken a couple short positions heading into this rally here just to try to hedge that upside. Obviously, I do participate in some stocks that are long, but mostly that's based off of relative strength. So not too bullish overall. Not saying, of course, we can't go up. I like to
Mhm.
react to the chart, but I wouldn't be surprised if the bottom is not in quite yet.
And so we're looking at the Nasdaq here, aren't we?
This is the S&P right here.
That's the S&P. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, so we're looking at the S&P. What are your thoughts on the Qs? What do we got going on there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so pretty similar where we're making lower highs and lower lows. The good thing here is that in the short term, we were able to put in a higher low in November. So, of course, we're going to have to wait to see if that will hold. But I have drawn these couple key zones. So we have the downtrend, obviously, and then we have these June lows, which I've kind of highlighted. And then these highs around this October area. So we are starting to pivot a little bit below it, it looks like. I'm going to be watching these June lows, and then following that, the key area obviously to watch is going to be seeing if we make lower lows.
Right.
So similar look to S&P where it's hard to be too bullish yet. Obviously, if you're a long-term investor, it could be a good area to start scaling into some positions. But as far as the short term, nothing's really telling us that we should be overly excited for the long side.
Awesome. So, for those of you that are futures traders and have traded futures or are newer to trading futures or looking at charts, when we're talking about the Qs, we're talking about the NASDAQ. So, we're also looking at the NQ. All right. So, the NQ and the Qs are going to be very similar. When you're looking at these charts, you're going to see some gaps and some bigger moves in some of these charts, whereas in the NQ, you'll see it a little smoother because it trades 23 hours a day. So, what are your thoughts on some of these small caps? What about the Russell?
Yeah, the Russell. So these have been recently they were having some relative strength, but now we've kind of tapered off, and it hasn't been too exciting. But like the other ones, we're still seeing these lower highs, so it is a downtrend. And then we also have the good thing about Russell, which I liked on this recent dip that we had back in September and October, was that we were able to hold these June lows. So didn't quite make a new low, which is pretty interesting. In the shorter term, we are making higher lows as well. So looks like we're teetering right on that edge now. Um, but similar to the other indexes, still nothing too crazy out there. I think you're going to want to break around 200, 201 to start leaning bullish so we can start making a higher high rather than a lower high.
Yep, yep. I'm looking at the exact same thing as you are, and I'm sure there's a lot of traders that are looking at the exact same thing as well. What about the Dow? What are you thinking about the Dow? Here are
Yeah.
the diamonds here.
Let me see if I can pull this up here. Oops. I haven't looked at this one in a minute.
Oh, putting you on the spot. DIA.
No,
No.
I don't think, I feel like we didn't have it. Oh, I guess we do. Awesome. Perfect. So yeah, with Dow, people have been talking about the relative strength. Industrials have definitely been outperforming
Mhm.
better than tech. And that's kind of what you can expect, right? In a market like this, people are searching value rather than growth per se. So definitely kind of makes sense. We are making a higher high here just by a couple cents. We kind of just got over those highs there. You can draw the line across there. So just got above. What I'm going to want to see is get back above that and be able to hold it. But it is somewhat of a broadening formation still from a strat perspective, which drawing these the highs and lows together. This could be a potential top, of course. Of course, anything could be. But yeah, definitely good strength here versus the overall market. I think industrials is safer than playing some of those tech names, playing growth, the Qs and all that. So
Right.
um, definitely like to follow the strength in a
Right.
moment like this.
Yeah, especially with Twitter calling them the boomer stocks. They're the value stocks, right? They're the ones that are near and dear to us. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to throw something out there for you. And since you don't necessarily trade futures yet, and you're going to get your foot in the door with these event contracts, let's pick one chart. I want to take a look at we'll do neutral ground. I don't do forex either, and let's just take a look at the Euro USD. Let's take a look at that Euro USD chart, and give me your thoughts on that. If we're going to take a look at it, if you pull up your, actually, I'll pull up mine as well. With your charts, it's 6E exclamation mark, or one exclamation mark would give you uh, the chart itself.
Okay.
6E one exclamation mark. I want to see what that looks like.
Got
What
it.
does that look like to you?
Yeah.
Alex, if you
So
can put, yeah, there we
I'm
go.
sorry. Yeah, the weekly time frame here. Obviously, this is an overextended downtrend. So you definitely would look for somewhat of a relief bounce in a case like this. Um, Another key area that you're really going to watch, which is actually where we're at right now, is going to be these lows from 2015 to 2017. So I can kind of draw these out here. It gives us a pretty good zone to look at. So then when we switch to the daily, we can actually zoom in a little bit more to see what we're looking at. But you can see we're somewhat flagging here in the short term in the same zone. So what I'm going to kind of be watching here would be these highs, which line up pretty well with that horizontal line there. And then these somewhat of a flag pattern there. So ascending triangle is what we're looking at. So honestly, either of these could be a good trigger. So under this uptrend line here, it could be a good short opportunity. And then above this line, we're starting to get above this resistance. So could definitely be a good long opportunity.
Okay, so now taking that into consideration, if you wanted to get to my screen now, I'm looking at the Euro USD. And so I'm looking at the event contract. In order to get to that event contract, I simply just click on the 6E Euro USD. It will pull up the event contracts and I can see what we're going to be going into. And right now we're relatively close to that $1.04. So in your thoughts, you're looking like it might be a nice little long. Would you think that it's going to end above or below $4 or $1.04? We're gonna
Yeah,
take this.
yeah, if we get above that 1.05 kind of area, I definitely think being above 1.04 would be a good bet.
Okay.
And then vice versa, if we're under that uptrend line, then it could be a good bet to bet under it. So
All right.
kind of in
So
that. Oh, sorry.
yeah. No, you're good. So we're looking at the yes above. It'll end above if we're gonna stay within there. I'm gonna go ahead and take that. I'm gonna put a quick order in here. I'm gonna place one order. It's gonna cost me $6. I'm looking for a potential profit of $14 at the end of the day. As long as we can stay above 104, I'm gonna go ahead and place that order. It is working, and it's working. Canceled. What is this? That Well, that didn't work, but I'm not sure why it canceled it. I'll have to take a look at it. It is a live show, so go figure. But let's take a look at the S&P 500. Let's take a couple trades here. We already looked at the S&P 500. What are we looking at here? Are we going to end the day above or below 39.75? What are your thoughts on that one?
Give me the over here. I like to be bullish just so I feel better.
Okay, so we're looking at $10.50 to the 20. So if we're gonna get say above that 39.75, yes is gonna cost you 10.50.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I like it.
It's gonna end above 39.75. All right, that's what we're going with. We talked about it getting very close to that trend line up there, but looks like we're gonna try and go with it ending above 39.75 today. We'll see what happens when Powell speaks. If he's gonna end up tanking the market, the potential profit that we've got here is $9.50. Most we're gonna lose here in one contract is $10.50. I'm gonna go ahead and place the order. We filled and it is correct. Not really sure why the Euro USD did not work for me there, but we're in one right now, currently losing 75 cents. It is what it is. We'll see what happens here. We could get a nice little pop and end the day above 39.75. Let's go back and take a look at predicting the close of the NASDAQ today. What do we got going on here? I know we took a look at the Qs. So we're looking at the level of 11,600 here. If you pulled up your charts and looked at it at the NQ1 exclamation mark is going to give you your futures contract on your chart. What do you think we've got going on here?
Yeah, let's I mean, we're still under this kind of these highs here that we recently had. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the under on the
You're
Qs
going to go with the
for
under?
this one. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of a hedge to that ES long that we were looking at. So we're picking no, it will not end above 11,600. We're going to pay 12.50 for it for a potential profit of 775. We'll go ahead and place that order. We're going to go ahead and do that. And now let's go ahead and go to our let's pick crude oil. CL1 exclamation mark is going to give you crude oil. What are your thoughts on crude oil here?
Yeah, there. It looks like we could be putting in a short-term double bottom here. So, from a risk reward standpoint, I'd say the upside could be looking decent here.
Yep.
And I want to hedge my gas tank as well. So let's go with the over here.
Let's go with the over. Okay, let's go for it. Yes, we will take it. It's going to cost 425 to potentially win 20. 1575. We're going to go ahead and place that order. It is working currently. Don't tell me it's going to be canceled too. I'll have to take a look to see what's going on with that, but we'll go ahead and pick something else. Let's see. Could we let's do the Russell. Let's do the Russell. Let's pick one of those. The
So
Russell's going to be, sorry, RTY1 exclamation mark.
got it. So let's see here. Looks like we're in at this downtrend line a little bit closer than where we're at with the Qs and S&P. So for the short term, I'd say,
Wow, that's some consolidation going on right there, huh?
yeah, we're getting close to this apex. So really, it's I'd consider this almost a shot in the dark. But I'm gonna go with the long term resistance over the short term support. So I'm gonna go with the under here.
With the under, all right. Let's go with the. Will it end above 1840? We're gonna go with a no. We're gonna do a quick order here, and we're gonna place that order, and that one was complete. So at least the indices are working for me right now to place these orders. But we're gonna go ahead and go done. We're gonna go down to here. Let's take a look to see. This is just my play account. So let's take a look at where we at. I got to scroll back up. Sorry if I'm getting anybody dizzy here. We did the S&P, we did the Nasdaq. Let's do the Dow. We talked about those boomer stocks. What do you think we're gonna do here? Are we gonna find some value in the Dow, which is the YM1 exclamation mark on those charts?
Yeah, it looks like we're still at that key zone. We are making briefly just a higher high. Short term, we're in an uptrend. So with us getting above this high, and we're still in this short term uptrend, I'd like to take the over here on Dow.
Like to take the over. Okay, so we're going to look at, will it end above 33,750? We're going to take the over on this one. Potential profit 650 on here. It's going to cost us 1350 to place that order, and we are done with that, and we are good to go in that trade. So we've taken a trade on every single indice here. I just want to take a quick second to really thank you for coming on, David. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love the way that you take a look at those charts and looking at multiple time frames, regardless of whether I'm scalping or you're swinging or day trading or whatever it is. It's been an absolute blast talking to you. Thank you so much. Where can people find you if they want more information?
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. And people can find me on Twitter, which is Yocum's Charting. Also on YouTube, Yocum's Charting, and then my website, which isn't too far off, which is also yocumscharting.com. So anything Yocum's Charting, you can probably find me there.
Anything Yocum's Charting. You actually have a pretty, if I can say, badass logo. It's pretty cool.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I hope everybody has a wonderful trading day. We're going to open here in about 5-6 minutes. So get yourselves prepared, get your charts ready. And I hope nothing but profits and peace as always. Take care. See ya.